Welcome to our show, everyone. My name is Lelo B.
And I'm Lyton. You can join us every second week here on YouTube for a little wine and a whole lot of conversation.
Yeah, and how do we start the conversation off this week?
So this week I want to chat about, how 2017 was such a difficult year for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to know, what did you learn about love in 2017? I know that's your favorite topic.
It is my favorite topic, but I think more than anything, love is I think it taught me a lot more about not just the romantic kind, but 2017 is the year that my family and I got to come closer together.
Yeah.
So it really taught me that as much as we have our own successes outside of home and in our careers and everywhere, the true, real love, unconditional love, you find it in family. And I think that has been one of the highlights for me for 2017.
Quite interesting.
Yeah. It was a crazy year, but I think also even with friendships,
exactly.
There were some that I lost and others that I gained, and it's quite normal for that to happen because as people we evolve and we grow.
We grow out of different spaces.
What did it teach you about love?
Well, like it was a very challenging year for me. Like 2017, there's a lot of changes, career-wise, and love and so I always hit you up with my stories, so very well. But I think what I learned was that I was watching Essence Woman of the Year, yes, in Hollywood, which was I think it's 2 years back, but I watched it recently, and Asia Naomi King spoke about how I actually have it here.
That was in March.
She had
so it was last year, actually,
exactly.
Yes.
And then she said something that was really, really quite interesting that stuck with me.
Is that the girl in How to Get
Away with Murder? Yeah, the pretty
the one with
chocolate girl.
Dating Asha, and she's so rude to him. What did she say?
I just say that I had, as part of her speech, she said, I have to stop believing that the root of my talent is from a tree growing in someone else's backyard, as if the fruit it bears doesn't belong to me. And I thought I hit a light bulb, sorry. And then I thought, you know what, that's, in some way that's how I've been approaching my relationships, where my talent being, I'm a loving person. I think I'm a warm person, and I'm I don't really take a lot of things so hard. And I felt like I was selling myself short because I was this one is too good for me, I don't deserve this.
What?
And then you start projecting that whole insecurity. I think for me it was, I couldn't believe it when I was in love, because I felt it's not growing in my yard. I didn't deserve it. And it was it's kind of interesting.
It's a bit I think when reading her speech as well, it was actually a common phenomenon.
Exactly.
The whole imposter syndrome, where
exactly.
Even when you excel
Exactly.
in your career and you're sitting in a boardroom with all these professionals, and you look around and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I end up here?
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like someone is going to come and tell you to leave
because you don't belong here.
So, but what was it about those relationships that made you feel like you didn't deserve them? Was it because those people had more money, or they were good looking? What was it?
I think it was me. I actually, you take a step back and then you actually try and be honest with yourself and keep yourself accountable. And I think it was, I was insecure with myself, so I saw everything else and differently. And now when I look at it, I'm I actually I was better looking than you. I met a little bamula than you did. But then for some reason at that point I was I felt like I was lucky to have this person.
Yeah.
And I didn't deserve them. And it didn't it was and it's actually it shocked me for a while, and it took me a while to actually be okay with telling it to everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that you recognize that also is growth on its own,
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and which is what I like about this show. We can have these conversations where sometimes you're not the only crazy person, or you think
Absolutely.
the crazy person. So I
absolutely. It's almost like when I read that. I mean, you look at her, the King Lady actress.
Yeah.
Is it, how do you say
Asia?
Is it Asia?
Yeah.
I thought it was AJA. I really thought it was AJA. I thought it was initials or something. But anyway, so Asia.
Yeah.
I mean, when I read that, I was like, but wow, she's amazing.
Exactly,
And she's had a great career,
Yeah.
I think, and she's in a hit show. I mean, How to
Exactly,
Get Away with
yeah.
Murder. But is it so? When she said that, and you're like, oh, okay, so I'm not the only one who goes through these kind of
Exactly,
emotions,
yeah,
and it kind of
exactly.
makes you feel. Oh wow, so it's normal.
It's normal, yeah.
Yeah, and I think when we recognize it, the power is in recognizing that feeling.
Exactly, yeah. Because then you're confronted, then it becomes a bit better. Yeah.
That's amazing. For now, though,
Yeah.
until 2 weeks' time, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks time.
2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thank you for joining us.